battle rap brought me to the second topic because rapping in front of like battle rap, especially coming off the dome in front of all those people, would give me a lot of anxiety, bro. Do you guys ever go through anxiety? Like,
oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah. But like last week, I went through like I think 2 or 3 anxiety attacks in like a week, and I'm just wondering, have you guys ever dealt with stuff like that before, like anxiety or anxiety attacks, like anything like that?
A lot, man.
Yeah, it makes sense though that you went from feeling invincible to feeling the way you do now, because it's very jarring, becoming an adult with one, we're shown a lot more stuff, we understand a lot more stuff, so there's a lot more like that weighs us down, as opposed to before where we didn't understand shit and we didn't fucking care. We got Capri Suns and cartoons, so that's all we really needed. But now we kind of understand how things work, so that makes sense that that's weighing on you more as of recently.
Like, I've gotten more self-conscious about more shit than I've ever have before in my life. Like, if it weren't for like, I call my mom a lot to ask her, like, I'm like, hey, I'm feeling this way. Does this mean I'm gonna die or something? And you know, I feel bad for her having to answer all these dumb questions from this big dumb boy about, you know, my feelings about how I feel about my body. But it's just like, I don't know what else to do, because if I leave him alone, if I leave myself alone with my thoughts, I don't know, like, I'm not gonna do it.
That's the worst. Like, having an outlet is key. Like, for me, I do trap myself. Like, I am a person that will be alone with my thoughts, and it's the worst, where like I can't sleep at night because like I have all these voices in my head just saying like, just mainly the stuff that I haven't did yet. And like I be trying to go sleep now, like have ideas of just certain words like I've been saying the other day, and like I want to go to sleep. So it's like having an outlet is key. Normally, like I talk to my girlfriend about it, or like certain friends and stuff.
You have a girlfriend.
I'm just kidding.
Have you ever gone through like anxiety? Like, you've gone through anxiety?
Yeah, man. Like it was like one fucking night on a weeknight. Like one like weeknight, like I couldn't breathe, and like it felt like the world was closing down on me, and like, oh my god, and like it felt like my lungs were collapsing in itself, and like, oh my god, I just need to get out. And so like I opened the window, like opened my window, and like I was just like, my face was near the fucking shutter, or like, I was just inhaling deeply because it just felt like I was suffocating myself to death for some reason. So
that's why I was talking about stress earlier.
Yeah.
When we were talking about your stress.
Destroy stress.
Shout out to Organized Confusion.
Because stress can fuck with your body in a lot of ways, and that's one of those things. I think fear is a good motivator, but it's not a healthy one, and depending on how you use it, it can be used as an asset or a thing that breaks you down, and it's hard to find a balance with that. So like, when I say good, not healthy, it's like you use your fear of or your self-conscious feelings about your body to work out and to exercise and to get in shape and to feel better by yourself. But if you let that get to a point where it's like debilitating, where you feel like you can't do anything, there's no point, then that's when it becomes a problem.
I've been working on this album for like a year and a half. It's pretty much entirely about me trying to understand these feelings of fear and anxiety, and like how they've manifest themselves into like a sort of self-debilitating like deprecation that I've been trying to sort of get myself out of, like, or like unfetter myself from. Like how you can't control 90% of the shit that's going on around you. The only thing you can really control is how you react to everything, right?
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes I get pissed off at myself because, like, man, like I shouldn't let this shit affect me, but I'm letting it affect me, and
that's a common thing.
And I get mad at myself that I'm letting this thing affect me, and then it starts to like snowball into like, man, you fucking suck. Like, why are you letting these things bother you? And you know you shouldn't let them bother you, but you're still letting them bother you. Like, why are you letting this happen? And like it turns like a why.
I feel like anxiety ties in a lot with like stability. And that could be the lack of or too much, you know what I mean? Like maybe things aren't moving fast enough, like you said, stagnation, or that things are changing. Like I would say my first anxiety attack, it was probably somewhere around when I started like magnet school. Just because it was like,
damn, that's early, bro. God damn.
I mean, you know, it was
you need a hug.
What do you mean?
Yo,
it was a big step. You know what I mean? Like it was. I mean,
you all right, man?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, man. You see this nigga on the streets, get this nigga a hug, bro.
I'm sure I probably had about maybe 2 or 3. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't like I've had them, I'd say recently, maybe not this year yet or anything, but like in connection, that like those first few ones are super intense. You know, I was like contemplating calling like the hospital or something like that.
Damn.
The funny part about it is the first one, I don't know if it was stress from school or it was the fact that my uncle had just picked like I just got back from going to see Dragon Ball Evolution with my uncle.
That movie.
And that
was
movie
trash.
is terrible.
It was
That movie-
evolution.
so bad
It was
they hated it.
evolution.
It was definitely.
It was
Dragon
I was like,
Ball, bro.
What's the fucking movie? It's terrible.
It's so bad.
Why was Goku
I
white?
can't fucking breathe.
So I think, you know, it was a time where a lot in my life was changing. I'd say mostly, you know, due to that, going to a new school in a totally different, you know, side of town, interacting with people, you know, personalities I'd never meet in my neighborhood. So it's just, you know, I feel like that's where it comes from a lot of times. It's just either the thought of change or actual change.
I feel like the beginning part of your 20s is like you got a lot of anxieties and like freak out moments because the world gets so much bigger as far as like the things that exist in the world and and whatever.
Yeah, like,
And then the last part of your 20s is so far from what it seems like is like you said, you trying to figure out how to use your fear in a good way as like a catalyst to better change,
right.
as opposed to letting it destroy you.
Especially for like, you know, the generation before us, like by the time you're like 24, 25, like you're already supposed to have kids and like a fucking house, all that bullshit. And like nowadays,
That shit's impossible.
that's just not fucking possible.
not.
Unless you got like a fire OnlyFans popping off
Well,
of TikTok.
Because
In like the general sense.
Yeah,
Because
I
like
mean,
Trevor, for example, he's done that shit.
He got
you know.
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
He just like spread them cheeks, show his butthole, and then you know he got grams.
Societal expectations I have grown so much looser. Don't.
I wasn't saying.
I was just saying that they've grown like to a point where it kind of doesn't like you've seen Baby Boy, right?
That
Yeah,
Like the
I
way
love
they
that
talk
movie.
about that, like how everyone's on his ass. He's like maybe 20, 21, and
That
they're
nigga's
like,
the
you ain't out of
oldest-
the house yet. There's barely any 20-year-olds I know who are out of the house, like in my age.
That's
And
a parent
a
thing
lot
though.
of the 25-year-olds I know have like gone out and then come back.
Come back,
That's true.
exactly.
Because they got fucked up.
Yo, let me tell you a story. When I lived with my dad, I was doing push-ups at like 7 in the morning.
I feel like the concept of like needing or feeling like you need to be in a certain place because of the expectations society has placed upon you, and two, like it's like that on top of like you feeling like you're supposed to be somewhere further than where you are.
Mhm.
At least for me personally, it's
Hey,
like
And then it also as men, like
Right.
we're taught to really not talk about how we feel. We're just
Yeah.
taught to fucking
Yeah.
go.
Go.
One of my friends told me about like this. He told me this concept of like complacency, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's different levels of complacency. So in every situation that you live in, right,
Mm-hmm.
you're just at a different level of like that complacency. So like, let's say I found like a cool job where I'm making like a decent amount of money, right, and I could be working that job for however long, right, and that's the level of complacency I'm at while I'm fine, right. But it's like that at some point that complacency can like start to turn into like a kind of like a feeling of stagnation.
Yeah. I worked in like a small warehouse. Like it's just me and another dude,
Right.
and I was responsible for packing up everything. And like I'm packing up, I don't want to give it away, but like these huge boxes.
Right.
Like, I mean, there were some slow days where I just make mostly on my phone, like trying to write or read. But most of the days, like I'm just lifting all the time. Like my body's sore. Like there's a point where my hand was acting up. Like it would just become kind of cold, and like my pinky would just be extra stiff. But like just working around gray walls, and like there was a point in my life where it's very repetitious. Like it just, I wake up and it'd be like the same day. Wait, what?
The
word
repetitious.
Oh,
It was so repetitious.
Goddamn. Goddamn.
repetitive.
Yeah, repetitive.
Reputitious, bro. Repetitious now.
We gonna put it right
I'm
here
sorry.
on the
Yo,
screen.
I'm sorry. He's like opening up, and we're just like,
Y'all niggas out here
repetitious.
making fun of
I know,
reputation. Y'all
goddamn.
going to hell.
We putting the word right here.
Reputation.
So the job was very repetitious.
Yes. Hella repetition. I got no
Y'all fucked up.
reparations,
Look at
bro.
His heart,
Yeah.
right?
We all owe Steven a fucking apology.
No, we don't. It's repetitious, not reputitious.
I was about
So
to say.
a
The
difference.
enunciation on that U and
Yeah.
T that doesn't exist.
So
reputitious.
Close enough.
The right one.
Close
Basically,
enough.
Steven's a dummy head. Go ahead, Stuart.
I was
Finish
thinking
it.
of reparations that was old. Like, not getting reparations also.
Audience.
Speaking of reparations, when we gonna get our Harriet Tubman's?
So one
Who
thing.
rapped it like that? I forgot.
It was Silk Money.
Oh yeah.
Yo,
Okay.
I just realized like we could call them tubs, bro. Like you make it rain tubs.
So anyways,
Hey, run them tubs, nigga.